Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be going over the new primary weapon, the Reconifex. So the Reconifex came out with the new content in 1999, and that's why we're going over it today. We have the top commenter of the last video, Irish Rifle, the first commenter of the last video, Montero U, and then we have our recent supporters here of Tox Sneeze, Johnny, and Eddie. Thank you so much for your support. All right, before we go into the Reconifex, I just kind of wanted to do a little announcement here. So I'm going to switch to a slide. We're going to be doing a Crusader Christmas tomorrow. So it's actually technically Christmas Eve. So tomorrow, on the 24th of December, Santa Claus will be in the Crusader Dojo's strip club room from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. So if you're not in the U.S. Eastern, you'll have to do that conversion for yourself there. But U.S. Eastern Time, 5 to 6, about. It might go a little bit later, but come sit on Santa's lap and tell him what you want for Christmas and receive a gift. Go to my next slide here. Open to everyone, even non-clan members. If you're not a clan member, make sure to message one of our elves to be invited to the Crusader Dojo. And they'll also direct you to the strip club room because you probably won't know where it is. I have a list of our elves on the right side there. I haven't ran it past every single one of my officers to see if they'll be there tomorrow or not. But probably the majority will. I would probably start from the top down. So start by either messaging me or Pepper. Probably Pepper might be the better one to message because I might be busy like setting up. And then maybe try Acinix or Old Guard or Tick. Montero is definitely going to be there too. I know he's towards the bottom, but he's definitely going to be there. Okay. Make sure you have cross trade enabled. That's very important because if you want to get your gift and you're on a different platform, we might not be able to give it to you. So if you're from a different platform, make sure to go on the Warframe website itself and activate cross-trade. Only one person on Santa's lap at a time. So Santa will be sitting in his Santa chair on the strip club stage. And so one person on Santa's lap at a time. Use region chat to talk. And something I didn't write here is that after you're done talking to Santa, one of our elves will open a trade with you and we'll be giving you your gift. And we don't want anything in return. Now, of course, Warframe makes you have to like put something in there to trade. So just put some garbage, right? Like put some mod that you have a million of that you don't need to trade. But if anyone else opens a trade with you and asks you for something specific, just close a trade with them. It might be like someone that's being weird and trying to scam or something like that. I just wanted to let that, like, say that because this is going to be like a public event. So there might be like people from not in the clan like there. So just be careful of that. Me and any of my elves will not be asking you to trade anything specific with us. And we just want garbage in return. Just give us some kind of garbage. That way we can do the trade and you can get your gift. Alrighty. Okay, let's go into the Reconifex here. And again, that's tomorrow. Tomorrow on the 24th, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Might go a little bit later than 6. Okay, Reconifex. It's the new light machine gun that came out with 1999. It looks pretty nice. Not the nicest machine gun I've seen, but it's okay. We'll go over the unique and interesting things about the Reconifex. So a perfect reload grants a heat magazine with shots that deal plus 25% damage with a guaranteed status effect. That's really nice. You have to make sure you actually get that perfect reload, though. It's very similar to the, I believe it's called the Sicaro, where if you reload perfectly, you have like this little circle, and there's like a little window where you have to press the reload button again when you're in that certain area, and then it counts as a perfect reload. Very also similar to like the Nadaruk's perfect shot. So if you're familiar with either of those weapons, you'll kind of understand. So, and it turns the entire magazine into heat. So something I like to do as soon as I get into a mission, I fire one bullet, I go for a reload, I make it into a perfect reload, and then the entire magazine from there is heat. Anything else that is unique and interesting? Not really too much. It's pretty basic stats. A little bit higher than average crit multiplier, but that's about it. Even if you look at the build is a pretty basic assault rifle build, or machine gun build. You can basically copy this build on pretty much every assault rifle and machine gun. It will do well. There's a few things to consider that you might change, right? Bladed rounds might change into hunter munitions sometimes, or you might change Virulent to another element if you have a viral primer already, but everything else pretty much stays the same. Well, unless a weapon's multiplicative, then you add the other galvanized one, but this one is not multiplicative. That I know of, right? It's a new weapon. Who knows if, like, a month from now we find out it's multiplicative, but it doesn't seem to be multiplicative. Okay, let's go over the mods here. We have Galvanized Chamber for multi-shot. We have Galvanized Scope for crit chance. We have Prime Shred for fire rate and punch through. Now, Prime Shred is going to be the best fire rate mod on here because you get fire rate and punch through, but unfortunately Prime Shred's a login reward, so a lot of people don't have this mod. So instead, if you don't have Prime Shred, you use Vile Acceleration. And Vile Acceleration will actually give you a 90 fire rate. So you actually get more fire rate than Prime Shred. You just lose out on the punch through that Prime Shred gives you. So that part sucks, but at least you make up for it a little bit with extra fire rate. Okay, next here we have Bladed Rounds. This is going to be on kill. You get 120% crit damage when aiming. This is very good. And again, always consider, anytime you see a build of mine that has Bladed Rounds, always consider Hunter Munitions. And anytime you see a build of mine that has Hunter Munitions, always consider Bladed Rounds. Because they're both usually fighting for the same spot on builds, and it really is dependent on the content you're doing. Bladed Rounds is usually better than Hunter Munitions earlier on, and it comes down to the average time for an enemy to die compared to the dot's tick rate. So I believe the slash dot is a 1.5 second tick rate. Well, like Steel Path, even when you're kind of further on, like even when, you know, maybe you're like an hour or two into a survival or an hour or two into a disruption, maybe not Cascade. Cascade, you know, scales a little bit quicker than that. But like even when you're like an hour into those things, dudes are still dying almost instantly. And so you don't get a lot of value out of Hunter Munitions because like the next proc of that dot is going to take 1.5 seconds. And a lot of dudes are going to die in less than a second. But once you get to that point where the dudes can maybe live for a little bit longer to start taking extra ticks of those dots, Hunter Munitions does start being a lot better than Bladed Rounds. So if you're doing level cap, go to Hunter Munitions. If you're doing near level cap, like probably like level 3,000-ish and above, Hunter Munitions. Or if you're doing any kind of content that has a big, heavy enemy or big, heavy boss that you need to take out, and he can actually scale past like what some bosses can with only 4 statuses, then Hunter Munitions is also really good there. So always consider Bladed Rounds or Hunter Munitions, kind of depending on the content you're doing. Bladed Rounds is always good. Hunter Munitions can sometimes be lackluster starting off, but is really good later on. Alrighty, enough about that. Let's go Critical Delay for crit chance, Vital Sense for more crit damage. And then in these 2 slots here, we have our element mods to make viral. So we're going to have the 60/60 Toxin and the 165 Cold to make viral here. Now, if you had a viral primer, I would say the next best element to use would be Corrosive. Corrosive would likely be the next best element to use. Blast is always like decent. Blast can be better than Corrosive on tight maps. So like on tight tile sets, Blast can be better than Corrosive. I didn't test this with Blast. I don't know if you went Blast if this heat would try to mix into it. I don't think it would. I think you would get Blast plus heat. Let me know. I didn't actually do the testing with Blast and heat. But if you go Blast, don't use Prime Cryo rounds. Use the 60/60 Cold. So a lot of the choices between like using the primed or the 60/60 depends on the actual proc that you're producing. So when we look at viral here, we have a fast firing weapon. This is a machine gun that shoots very fast. It has an okay status. It's not great status, but it's an okay status at 25. It's good enough for a weapon that shoots fast. And the viral proc itself, it only stacks to 10, and actually you get a lot of your value on viral, even on the first proc. The first proc basically counts as 4 procs. So viral is a status that you don't need to produce a crap load of. And so viral is okay with having a lower status chance, but you can get more damage out of it with Prime Cryo rounds. Now, when you talk about Blast, Blast is technically an infinitely producing element. It stacks to 10, but then it'll reset to 1. So it'll just keep going. It's a little bit confusing, but you know, as soon as you get to 10 Blast, it'll do its effect, it'll go back down to 1, and then you can continue doing that. So Blast wants to be produced as much as possible. And so if you do go blast, use the 60/60s because you get more status chance with it, and so you'll get more blast procs, and it'll happen more often. Like that's kind of the thought process between, you know, do I use a 60/60 or do I use Prime Cryo? All right. But if you don't have a viral primer, go viral. Viral will usually be better than everything else, except if you're on Murmur. If you're on Murmur, Corrosive will beat out viral. All right, in the Exilus slot here, we're going to go Vigilante Supplies. This is going to give you a 5% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons. So 1 out of 20 of your shots will be upgraded in their crit tier. So if it was a yellow, it might be a orange. If it was an orange, it might be a red. If it was a red, it might be a red plus. 1 out of 20 shots, it's not great. It's technically a DPS increase, but it's not that great. This does shoot pretty fast, so like you will see the effect from Vigilante Supplies like somewhat often. The other alternative in the Vigilante Supply slot is to go Stabilizer and completely remove the recoil. So with Deadhead, we almost remove all of the recoil, but there's still a little bit left over. And you can always go Stabilizer to completely remove it. I'm a big stickler for recoil. I hate recoil. But I feel like with just primary Deadhead, I mean, I feel like the weapon is good enough. Like even me, who's a real stickler for recoil, I don't feel like I need Stabilizer. I would rather just have the small DPS increase that Vigilante Supplies offers. Of course, you get the extra too, where it like picks up extra ammo. So that's nice too. In the Arcane slot, we're going to go for primary Deadhead. So this is going to be 360% flat damage, 30% headshot multiplier, and negative 50% weapon recoil. You can also go with Merciless here too. I know some people don't like headshot builds. I mean, this is kind of a headshot build because you have scope here. But I mean, if you really wanted to, you could also go Merciless. It's just that if you go Merciless, you probably do want to put Stabilizer here to remove some of that recoil. So I do prefer Deadhead though, so I'm going to be keeping Deadhead there. So that's how you build out the Reconifex. Again, the only things to keep in mind here is bladed rounds can sometimes be Hunter munitions, depending on the content you're doing. And consider the element switching this up if you have a viral primer. Alrighty. So I'm going to show this off in 10 minutes of Steel Path gameplay, just to show how the weapon does. We'll compare it to some of the other weapons at the end, and we'll see its kill number, his 10-minute kill number here. I'm going to be doing this on a big dumb Inaros with no Archon shards that increase weapon performance, no mods or arcanes on the Inaros that increase weapon performance, and with a pet with no sentinel weapon and no mods on the pet that increase weapon performance. Just so we can see how the Reconifex works by itself. And then you guys can make your own, you know, you can come to your own conclusions about externals. You could be like, well, that's going to be more powerful if I use Roar. You know, which is pretty obvious, but...
Each enemy is more powerful than before. Only with true mastery of the Tenno arsenal will you succeed.
All right, so let Teshin finish his little spiel there. If you look in the bottom right, you see my ammo count is 200 out of 1,000. If I go ahead and I shoot, and then I go ahead and I reload, and I do that perfect reload, you see how it turns red now and it has a little fire symbol? That means that the entire magazine is now a fire magazine. Or heat magazine, I'm sorry. And just to show off that perfect reload again, I'm going to go ahead and shoot. I'm going to press R, and then when it's in there, boop, I press R again, and it goes quicker, and I got that the heat there. So we'll start. The only ability I might do is my ability that gives me status immunity, so I don't get knocked around. And that's about it. I like to view the Reconifex as kind of like a super Kuba weapon or a super Tenant weapon. You know, it kind of has a progenitor just like they do, where it gets like heat as an extra. It's just that it's kind of like a super version of heat, right? Because you get guaranteed procs, you get plus 25% damage. So it's like a super progenitor. But it's a progenitor that you can't like choose a different one, right? You're stuck with heat, but it's like a super version of heat. And for that reason, I think it's not going to be as good as the really powerful weapons like the Incarnans, but I think it's going to be better than weapons that don't have progenitors. It's going to be like one of those in-between weapons. So when I do these 10-minute kill runs, we usually see really meta weapons like Incarnan weapons. are usually going to be hitting like 900 kills about or over. And very average weapons are going to be hitting about 500 kills. So we'll see what this guy gets at the very end. Of course, gameplay is always going to be subjective. Like, the tile set I'm on right here is not a very good tile set. Especially for this type of a weapon. If I try to farm in this doorway, it might be a bit better. Because I can get them to line up a bit better. Also, if anyone's interested, we also have room in our Clan Crusader as well. So we're going to do the event tomorrow, and it's open for everyone. Even if you're not a clan member, you can come and get a gift. But if you're interested in joining, just let me know. Let me or one of the officers in game know. Be like, hey, I want to join, and we'll scoop you up. The only like rule that we have that might detract some people is that we allow anyone in the clan, but in the Discord, you do need to be 18 or older in the Discord. Clan is okay to be, you know, whatever, but Discord is 18 and over.
We've decided you're bad.
You know, we don't verify age, but like if you jump in the Discord and you sound like a 7-year-old, we might you know, kick you from the Discord. But other than that, like you know, we're pretty chill. We have a 60-day inactive limit. So if you've been inactive for 60 or more days, we'll kick you, but with no hard feelings. If you ever come back to the game, like maybe you just took a break from the game because, hey, maybe there was like a new update on Helldivers. You kind of got into Helldivers for a few months, and then you decide to come back, but it's been over 60 days. You ended up kicked. Just let someone know, hey, let me back in the clan, and we'll scoop you right back up. So like it's no hard feelings if you get kicked at 60 days inactive. Also, if you ever let us know, like, hey, I'm going on a military deployment for a few months, or hey, I'm, you know, this year in college is going to be really tough, so I probably won't be playing the game for like a few months while I'm in college. We'll put you in stasis pod rank, which is like a rank that we know not to kick that person. And yeah. So we have a bunch of people in stasis pod rank. They've, you know, college maybe was a little bit tough this year. Or last year. Or whenever. I guess it's in the middle, isn't it? It's in the middle of a college year. It's been a while since I was in college. And then basic rules for the clan. Like, I think every clan has these rules, right? Like, no politics talk, no religion or anti-religion talk, and that's about it. I mean, I like this weapon. It feels like a lot of weapons in the game. I mean, it just feels like another assault rifle or light machine gun. Like I said, with extra perks, though, right? Like extra perks of the guaranteed heat procs, which is nice. We'll be setting up that event tomorrow about half an hour beforehand. So, like, the event won't start until 5 p.m. but if Eastern time. But if you want to message to try to get, like, to come into the dojo, like, a little bit before, don't worry about it. Just send a message to someone and we'll scoop you up. There's a Guardian Eximus in there. I hate those guys. I hate these friggin' guys. There we go. Got him. How does this do against the Acolyte? Actually, it feels like it does a little bit better than like a normal assault rifle would, but that could just be because of the heat procs and stripping some armor. Which I guess is unique to this weapon. Kind of unique. It's unique that it does a little bit more damage, I guess I should say. And that they're guaranteed procs. Which don't matter too much on the Acolyte, because he only stacks to 4. I don't know if I said the ribbon slot already. The ribbon slot would be bladed rounds. Or 100 munitions, whatever you decided to put there, would likely be a ribbon slot. Although sometimes 100 munitions in late content is actually really valuable. So in late content, 100 munitions maybe won't be the ribbon slot. Early on, though, yeah. Early on, it could either be bladed rounds or 100 munitions. Damn, Guardian Eximus, get out of here. Or if your Riven had fire rate, you would get rid of your fire rate mod. So you would just replace like Vile Acceleration or Prime Shred, which maybe would suck to get rid of Prime Shred because you'd lose punch through, but depending on what you have in the Riven, it might be worth it. Got about 2 minutes left here. Oh, my status immunity must be down. I'm going to put it back up. I think it's funny that Anaros can actually shoot while he's doing that ability. It looks kind of dumb, but you can actually shoot while you're doing it. And then for stats, for this weapon, it would be a basic god roll. It would be crit chance, crit damage, multi-shot. Valuing, I don't know. I might value actually crit chance on this one more than any. Because if you notice, this isn't like an entire red crit build. It's actually a very low % chance of a red crit. It's actually orange crit most of the time if you're at full stacks. So you might actually value crit chance more on a Riven. And like normally we would value crit damage more on most Rivens. But this weapon may be crit chance to get it into reds. To give you an additional, multiplier. Maybe. It's close. Probably either crit chance, crit damage to value the most. Multi-shot's always good. That'll be the third stat to look for. Of course, you can never pick exactly what Riven you get, so... Well, unless you buy it off the market, which I'm too damn cheap for. Oh, the other mod to always consider, too, is Elementalist. Basically, any of the Elementalist mods, like pistol, shotgun, rifle. Elementalist mods are also mods that start getting a lot of value late in Steel Path. Like, so level cap runs, near level cap runs, you might see a lot of, like, level cap builds that use Elementalist. Which is a good idea for level cap builds or near level cap builds, but Elementalist is usually not as good, well, most of the time not as good for non-level cap builds. You usually kind of lose DPS by using them. Kind of for the same reason. Things die too quickly, so you don't get a lot of dot ticks. So, but if you are doing like super high content, always consider Elementalist as well. Pretty much for every weapon, you know.
Tenno, extraction is ready.
All right, let's see what we got. 10 minutes. Let's see what we got for kills. 700. 700. That's good. That's above average. That's nicely above average. It's not near like the Incarnate numbers that we get with 900 plus, but it's still pretty good. 700 is still pretty good. We did a few kit guns recently where the secondary got like 500 kills and the primary got like 570. So like this is definitely better than a normal weapon. Well, if you consider a kit gun a normal weapon. So yeah, that is Reconifex. I hope you guys liked it. If you liked it, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. I will probably not do a video tomorrow because me and Pepper are going to be getting ready for Christmas. We are, like I said, though, going to be doing that Christmas event. So we're going to be doing the Christmas event just in-game. We're not going to be like streaming or doing a video or anything like that. So no video tomorrow, no video on Christmas, but I will be back after Christmas. So what is that, Thursday, I think? So if I don't see you guys tomorrow, I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. I hope you have a great few days. All right, take it easy, guys. Bye.